Welcome to my channel. My name is Loki, and I'm glad to hear you or see you here with me today. Today's video is going to be the remaining of chapter 2 and 3 of my Monster Hunter stories. If you haven't been here before, I'll be leaving a link to the previous version in the description below, and the link to the channel that gave me the idea to start writing this, and anything else that I can think of that will be fitting for like research and setting up of a story will be linked in the description below. So please, thank you for watching, and let's get started. By the way, have fun with snow.
Where to begin? Elder Fugan murmured, scratching his chin thoughtfully. I suppose I should start by explaining why Kimura is so small and so heavily fortified. That's a good place to start, Doc replied with a nod. Understanding the village's history would be very helpful. We'll also need a map of the region and a list of local monsters. He tilted his head slightly toward Snow, who was seated beside him. Very well. I have a few extra maps and a list in my bag, said Guildmaster Hojo as he opened his oversized satchel. With a few practice motions, he produced a detailed map of the region and a small handbook containing information on the area's endemic monsters. He handed both to Snow. With the materials in hand, the conversation soon shifted to the topic of the rampage. From what Snow and Doc gathered, the event occurred roughly every 30 years. Kimura itself was a relatively young village, having been founded shortly after the last rampage. While it kept the name of the old settlement, most of the surviving records were written in an archaic style that hadn't been used in generations. Now, however, signs of another rampage were beginning to emerge, hence the urgent request for help to the Hunters Guild. After the meeting, Snow gathered her supplies, along with her best sword and shield, and prepared to set out into the ruins near Kimura. Her goal was to begin an expedition to explore the surrounding region. She ventured into an area known as the Shrine Ruins, carefully observing her surroundings and taking notes on any environmental abnormalities. During her exploration, she discovered 10 relics, each inscribed in the same archaic writing style as the records found in Kimura. Snow handed the relics to Salt, instructing him to deliver them to the village. As Salt dashed off, a strange bird swooped down and landed on Snow's shoulder. Clutched in its beak was a note from Elder Fugan. It read, "Your assistance is needed immediately north of the Shrine Ruins. Head trainer Utushi has engaged a monster exhibiting abnormal strength. He won't be able to handle it alone. Get there as fast as you can." Snow hurried to the northern edge of the Shrine Ruins, where she spotted an unusually large Azuros. Its darkened hide was marred with pulsing red scars, far more menacing than that of a typical specimen. Its raw strength was staggering, reminding Snow of a Redhelm Azuros. Nearby, another hunter was locked in combat with the beast. He was clearly struggling, his dual blades barely managing to keep the monster at bay. Chapter 3. Just as the Azuros reared up on its hind legs, ready to strike the other hunter down, a flash of bright light cut through the chaos, followed by the sharp sound of claws crashing against metal. The hunter blinked in surprise, only to see Snow standing between him and the monster, expertly blocking each blow. Seizing the moment, he quickly pulled out a first aid potion and downed it in 2 large gulps. With renewed strength, he drew his dual blades and dove back into the fight. The battle dragged on, fierce and unforgiving. The Azuros refused to fall until Snow finally found her opening and drove her sword deep into the beast's back, bringing it down for good. "So, are you Utushi?" Snow asked, taking a sip from her own potion. "Yeah, Thanks for the save back there, Utushi replied, pulling out a ration and taking a bite. You with the guild? I am, Snow nodded. I'm going to collect some samples from this one. I haven't seen an Azuros this powerful since the Red Helm hunt. That was rough. But this... She glanced at her weapon, then at her pouch. I need a break, a hot bath, and some real rest. Same here. Let's signal the others the hunt's over, Utushi said, pulling a flare launcher from his belt. With a quick flick, he fired it into the air. Back in Kimura, Snow and Utushi made their report to Guildmaster Hojo, Elder Fugan, and Doc. Snow handed over the samples she had taken from the fallen Azuros. As the group examined the material, it became clear. The creature matched the size and strength of a Red Helm Azuros. Doc took a moment to explain the deviant system. How certain monsters, through exposure to extreme conditions or repeated conflict, mutate beyond their natural limits. These deviants, as they're known, are rare, but dangerously powerful. After Doc finished explaining, with Snow stepping in to simplify some of the more complex points for the others, they all turned their attention to the Azuros samples Snow had collected. Once the discussion on deviants wrapped up, Doc called over one of his aides, a human woman named Terra. Terra, can you start running tests on the samples Snow brought back from the Azuros? He asked. Terra nodded. Yes, sir. I'll get started right away and have the results to you by tomorrow, maybe sooner, she replied, taking the samples and heading out of the meeting room. Snow stood and stretched. If we're waiting on test results, I'm going to get my gear looked at. My weapons and armor took a serious beating out there. With that, she exited the room, and one by one, the others followed. As Snow made her way to the blacksmith, she entered the bustling metalworks, where the rhythmic clang of hammers filled the air. Sparks flew as workers pounded steel, and above it all, an older man shouted orders, his voice cutting through the noise like a blade. The moment he noticed Snow approaching, the man let out a sharp whistle that echoed across the forge. All right, boys, lunchtime. If you're working on the details, they can wait. If you just started something, finish it after you've got some food in you. He turned to face Snow, brushing soot from his apron. So, you're the hunter who saved Utushi. Name's Hamon. If you need anything, just say the word. Utushi's a good guy, and a better drinking partner. Snow handed over her damaged sword and shield. I need these fixed up, and if you can, my armor too. I've got parts that might help improve them. Hamon gave the gear a once-over and raised an eyebrow. You weren't kidding. This stuff took a serious beating. He handed her a set of temporary clothes. Go ahead and change into these while I work. The armor's pretty banged up, but I can patch it up. The sword and shield, though, I might need to reforge them entirely. Snow nodded, appreciating the honesty. This one's on the house, Hamon added, grabbing his lunch and taking a bite. I'll handle it myself, but after I eat, I need my strength too, you know.
Thank you for watching the channel. Please give me a like, comment, and subscribe, and all that wonderful stuff. And if you can, please leave a comment on suggestions on how to make my writing better. With that all said and done, I'd like to thank you for watching my video. There might have been minor edits, but still, thank you for watching, and please, again, thank you for watching. Oh my god, I'm rambling. Anyway, see ya.